So I thought I'd just make a video explaining how I organise my Premiere timelines. Say if you want to use this for your own editing. This is one of my editing timelines from a Fiverr job that I've just done. So if you're looking for a Fiverr editor, then this is how I work if you are interested. I'm just going to basically explain my editing process and how I organise it to make it flow as good as possible. So basically the first thing that I do is pre-organisation. So before any footage is put into the timeline, you want to create a preset first on a Premiere project. And as you can see over here, I've got 6 different files that I use. So they're the main ones that I use. You can create your own if you want. That's what I prefer to use normally. And basically I save this as an empty preset project, and every editing project that I make, I'll open this preset and then save it as a new project to start working from. And then obviously if you go into these, then there's a lot more files in, and then you can go even further in. But for a preset, you can just keep it as that if you want. And obviously there's folders in here that I'll probably not use that often, like I've not used the VFX here, and even though I'm not going to use it, I might use it at some point, so it's helpful to just have that there within the preset if I need that at some point. So once I have my preset, then the first thing that I do is actually start with my sync. So this is a different sequence that I use to sync audio. This is called day 1 sync, and if you have multiple days filming, you'll have multiple day syncs. Or sometimes I'll use scene syncs, so I'll use scenes to organise my sequences instead. It's up to you, depending on what you're working on. If I'm editing, say, a short film, I might use scenes instead. But it's just up to you, depending on the project. So as you can see, the videos are colour coded to match the audios. Say you have a lot of audio like here, you might have your scratch disc and then maybe a boom mic and multiple lav mics. You need that organised so that you know which is which and what goes with which video. So on this here I have my blue video, which acts as my master shot of the full scene. So I have my scratch disc linked to that, which is basically just the audio from the camera, which you're not going to use in the end, but it's used as a reference point for all of your other audio. And then all of these other audios are lav mics. So once you get into editing, then you know which colour video connects with that colour audio. And while you're editing, you can split it between these two, so it makes it easy to drop all of your footage down into your main timeline, which I sometimes do when first putting together my edit. But if we go back to this one, the day sync, then you can see that I basically have multiple different coloured ones which have the same colour, which basically means that whoever has that audio mic is connected to whichever person is in that colour video. Even though there's multiple colours as well, if you open up the side bar here, all of the names are listed here at the side, so I know which one is which. But the colours are basically just to help you remember that that video connects with the audio. So if we go back into the main timeline, then here you can see all of the audio now chopped up and all of the video chopped up. The master shot, which we previously talked about, is pretty much full at the bottom because you're going to be dropping stuff on top of that in order to segment the video. So that's basically not really going to be cut up, obviously, unless you want to shorten the scene or whatever. Then underneath our production audio, we have the music, which is the orange bar. And you can see that's normally quite long and not many layers, normally 2 to 3-ish. And I normally use that as a divide between your production audio and your sound effects, just because it's pretty clear which that is. Sort of cuts it up, and it normally also just runs through the whole film or video or whatever. And then underneath that you have your added sound effects. So this is important because obviously if you need a sound effect changing, for example, then it's pretty clear which segment of the layers is sound effects. You can just go there and work out which one that is. rather than trying to get through, say, 15 layers of audio to find it. And then if we go up to the video, we obviously have our 3 main videos, and then above that we have the color grade. So you want a full adjustment layer for color grade, say you want to apply a LUT that you used, or just do an overall color grade and then use the individual shots for color correction to make them match. Then above that is going to basically act as your online edit, and below your color grade will be the offline edit. So that's again acting as a sort of divide on your layers, which makes it clear which is which. So above that you have, say, your title cards, your motion graphics, anything like that you've added on. And then above that you might have an aspect ratio change, so you might crop sort of the bottom and the top to make some cinematic bars on your short film, for example. And also sometimes what I do, instead of using markers to signify where are your scenes, then I'll use just an adjustment layer which isn't doing anything other than acting as a scene reference. I think it's a lot more helpful than having markers, because if you use the long markers then it covers up your individual markers and it also can get a bit confusing to use. So I'd rather do that, and then you can clearly see how long each scene is and then go in and change anything. This is also extremely helpful, say, for your multiple syncs. You want to spread that across, and it makes it clear where you're getting your footage from for that aspect of the film. In terms of using markers, then I don't often use markers apart from, say, when I'm working with someone. So if I'm working with a director who's giving me notes, or say for a Fiverr job and I'm doing a review, I'm changing things. So say here, for example, I might put a marker to signify that something is changing here. Say if it's a music problem that you have, you can change the colour to orange to match that, and then you know where that is, you know that it's a music problem that needs changing. And obviously once you've changed it, go in and delete it. So I hope that's been helpful if you are wondering how to organise your timelines better, or if you're just interested in behind the scenes of how editing works in Premiere, or even if you're looking for an editor, then I'm Good Lad Edits on Fiverr, and if not, then I hope you enjoyed.